We don't need to redefine pedophile. Pedophile is fine. Call them pedos, call them perverts, call them whatever you want to call them. But MAPs, no, we don't even owe them that respect. Every day, it seems like we are going further and further with this gender ideology extremism, okay? And this is a video I don't really want to have to make. I'm not happy to speak on the subject, but I have to do it because I got on Twitter today, as I usually do, to check my news feed and see what's kind of going on in the world. And right here, as you guys can see from Ian Miles Chong, fantastic Twitter account, by the way, give him a follow, retweeted this article that I'm going to go ahead and read for you guys, and is a very disturbing subject, but I have to bring you guys this news, okay? And this article is titled, "Anger as Police Scotland Rebrands Pedophiles as Minor Attracted People." And before I even read this article, I want to preface this whole conversation and video with the fact that we have already heard of this idea, right? We have heard of the whole minor attracted people idea in the past. This is something that is trying to become normalized by some members, some extreme members of this. They claim to be a part of the LGBTQ plus spectrum. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to extend that to encompass this idea of pedophilia, okay? And as ridiculous as that sounds, as ridiculous as that may sound to somebody with common sense, it is unfortunately becoming reality, okay? And it's terrible. But I want to say it's not surprising. It doesn't surprise me because we've seen this coming for forever, right? I just made a video kind of about about gender ideology, and, somebody said that misgendering somebody is violence. And we will continue to see, as time goes on, these ideas will continue to get more and more extreme because the fact is that the ideas themselves are not based in reality. They're not based in truth. They're not based in anything except subjective opinions. And that's really all it's based in. So let's go ahead and read this article, see what it has to say. This is coming from the Scottish Daily Express. A controversial move to label pedophiles as minor attracted people in a top-level report has been defended by Police Scotland, with the force suggesting the EU was to blame. Chief Constable Leon Livingstone's annual year-end report refers to child abusers as minor attracted people, MAPs. The move comes amid wider concerns by campaigners over what they see as attempts to rebrand pedophilia as a harmless sexual preference. A spokesman for the force stressed that MAPs is not a term they routinely use to describe child abusers, and said that its use in the report had to be understood in context. There's no context. There's no possible context that you could try to justify this term. We call them pedophiles. That's literally what we call them, pedos. All right, that's the term we have. The term itself is fine. There's an old saying that goes around, and it's a good saying, and it's called, "If it's not broke, don't fix it." And this is a perfect case. The term pedophile, pedo, pervert is all that's needed here. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We don't need to put on this new name. And when you're doing something that is reinventing the wheel, when you are trying to redefine pedophilia, it raises some red flags with me, okay? It raises all types of red flags. It signals to me that you are trying to normalize this. What are you doing? And it's kind of sad because this is coming from Scotland. And correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, but I think Scotland is a pretty predominantly Christian country. I think it has a lot of ties to Catholicism and just traditionalism in the culture itself. So it is sad to see this happening. It's just sad. There's literally no possible explanation. So let's see what they're trying to say as far as explaining this. He explained that the reference to MAPs was in relation to the force's engagement with the European Union's Horizon Europe project, prevention of sexual exploitation. The report states the project's main agenda is to develop understanding and approach to avoid the victimization of children by engaging minor attracted people and providing them with the necessary support, treatment, and guidance to help prevent criminal activities. Okay, so this is basically saying that there is an effort to try to prevent child abuse before it happens by talking to these minor attracted people, which are pedophiles, and trying to treat them, kind of like pre-treatment in advance of these types of things. And let me just say this, okay? If you're going to preemptively treat somebody who is a pedophile, it requires one thing, at least, and that is the pedophile themselves being willing to admit that they are attracted to children, okay? And I have a very simple solution for that. If somebody is attracted to children and they're thinking about acting on these impulses and these ideas, a pretty quick way, in my opinion, to straighten them out is just to put them in jail, okay? Put them in jail. If they are actively plotting to harass or not harass, but if they are actively plotting to harm children, jail time, and at least threaten them with jail time and say, if we find you doing one more thing along these lines, you will face prison time, because this is absolutely unacceptable. Okay? Jail time is a very simple solution. That's just my opinion here. And continuing on, it says, a police spokesman said, Police Scotland does not use the term minor attracted person. The reference in the chief constable's assessment was in the context of Police Scotland's engagement with the Horizons project. Okay, so this is an EU prerogative, which honestly does not surprise me. Okay, the EU has been notorious for having suspect motives. Okay, that's why Britain left the EU. That's why we had Brexit, because Britain was sick and tired of the EU's tactics and just kind of their globalistic, tendencies. And it doesn't surprise me. The EU kind of reminds me in some ways of, the United Nations that has tried to strip the United States of its national sovereignty at times. Kind of like something like the World Economic Forum, where you have multiple nations that are pushing these agendas that really do not further the nations themselves in most cases. Now, there's going to be a handful of nations that it furthers the cause of, but these nations are countries that are like China and the like, where their ideals and their moral values just straight up just do not relate or correlate with ours as a country, which in its most perfect form, the United States' values are values that are based in Judeo-Christian values, that have an objective morality that we operate out of, that strive to protect individual liberties of individuals, which is a really good thing. But anyways, does not surprise me. It's coming from the EU. The term was used in the commissioning documents for the consortium and is more commonly used on the continent. In September, Police Scotland representatives successfully lobbied for the MAP term not to be used by the consortium. Okay, so good for them. I'm going to change my stance a little bit. I'm going to take some heat off of Scotland. They have some common sense, okay? They're doing stuff that's not all the way bad, okay? At least they're not going to use the term. But it's sad. It's sad that it even made it in this document. Here we go. Kenny Mickaskill, the Alba Party MP for East Lothian and former SNP Justice Secretary, said any use of euphemisms in relation to child sex abusers is baloney, and absolutely. And that's what I was saying. It raises some red flags. He said, spouting these euphemisms simply masks the reality and their danger, and I very much welcome the common sense approach from Police Scotland, though even in commissioning documents, these euphemisms should be avoided as they mask the reality and hide the horror. Exactly. This is exactly what I'm saying. Anytime you try to redefine a term that already has an accurate description of what is happening to an evil act, you're going to raise some red flags. You were doing something sus. You're acting sus. And we don't need to redefine pedophile. Pedophile is fine. Call them pedos. Call them perverts. Call them whatever you want to call them. But MAPs, no. We don't even owe them that respect. You don't even get minor attracted persons. You literally get a pedophile name. One thing I want to say about the whole, preemptive treatment. Yes, if you're saying MAPs, calling them MAPs would make them more willing to admit what they're going to do ahead of time, maybe you have an argument, but I just don't think that's the way to do it. I think you kind of have to go at it from a different direction. Maybe encourage people through various means, maybe have state programs that say, if you're a person that has some of these kind of thoughts, then, seek this direct counseling and have grants or whatever the case may be. But oftentimes, I don't think a lot of the times that people will admit to these thoughts, and they're caught in the act. You've seen the whole Chris Hansen stuff on YouTube, the independent YouTubers that do it. It's very entertaining, but the sad fact is that a lot of these people don't get caught before they commit these disgusting crimes. So that does not justify the term to me as far as MAP goes. And it says right here, most Scots will find this deeply disturbing and wrong. And that's just the facts, okay? That's the saving grace with these types of policies in this extreme ideology, is that the common sense really does lie with most of the people, and most people just don't agree with this type of wording or this type of policy. It's just not a good look. So anyways, that's my thoughts on this. I'll go ahead and link this article down below so you guys can read this for yourselves. But let me know what you think down below. Do you think we should call these people minor attracted persons or MAPs? Or do you agree with me and think we should just stick with the classic term of pedo? I mean, that's... I'm sorry to be blunt like that, but it's just what it is. I mean, you are literally a pedophile. we don't need to redefine this term. So anyways, if you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching. Like the video if you enjoyed it or took something from it. Subscribe here to Common Sense for more political and news commentary and analysis from an unbiased, common sense perspective. And with that being said, I will see everybody next video. Peace out.